All right, so hey, I'm just gonna roll through it quick with some WrestleMania thoughts, and I'll get to the Raw after Mania. I was like, cause you done already sort of done heard it by now about WrestleMania. Everybody done talked about the matches being short, ads, and all this other stuff. Now, I've been somebody that hasn't really care. I was like, I didn't really care about the ads like that. Like when I always heard people talking about it, stuff like that. Now, granted, I haven't been on the ESPN or nothing like that. So WrestleMania was like my real big time of like seeing this. But I was like, but anyway, the ads to me is really it's just I think it's really just wrestling fans. Just because football, basketball, there's ads, there's commercials, and it just sort of is a part of what you're watching to where you don't even really know it's there. You go to the bathroom, you go get something to eat, you go look at your phone, you do other stuff. There's stuff for you to bet on, like where I think wrestling one, it never had ads like this. Even I was like this day and age with stuff, the ads still haven't been in the same type of way that what like what are you really going to do? Are you it's like so I think it's been so conditioned, just like the advertising on the mats and stuff like that, that this is really pertaining to wrestling fans. Don't get me wrong, other sports has had problems with them putting on the jerseys and stuff like that, but eventually it's sort of just like just already sort of stuff there that it was like once it became like it was just a little bit and then it just went away. I really think that a lot of the ads were just it just also because they're the same damn ads. It's the same like Hulk Hogan advertising played constantly, to where it was just like it's just like that was a lot. And like I said, a lot of them are just sort of the same ones. To be honest, what I think they should have did or do more is if they had a lot more ads that had the wrestlers in it, like the tax one that had like LA Knight, Vancouver, and Penta. The Slim Jim one that got like Bianca and LA Knight and like Big E in it. Like I think if they did more of those, it sort of works a little bit better because you have the wrestling stars involved with the actual commercial. So therefore, you're not. I was like, it is a commercial, it is an ad, but it actually is incorporated with WWE instead of just like a commercial for this, a commercial for that, and then they just sort of just play for the same loop. Also, the amount of time, one, the ticker that's up there. Because, like, leave with Peacock, it'd be like 60 seconds, maybe 120 seconds or whatever like that. The one, I was like, when you see up there, it's for one ad that would be like that. But also, the reason you felt it more night one and night two is because of the quality that you were actually dealing with as well, which is sort of the thing that I think does separate it from the other sports. Is the other sports you're there, like if you're there to watch a football game, you're into the football game. Like even the Super something like Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was basically not really that great, but guess what? You was still sticking out because you just don't know what can happen. Where like these matches, you sort of have a feeling of how it's going to go, but also depending on how it leaves you depends on how you feel about just waiting for the other one. And you done already committed, you done already bought whatever you done bought for this as well too, compared to some of the other sports leagues as well. But I was like, there's that. Look, I'm not gonna go down the rundown of any of the matches, but what I will say is that they did the right thing with Oba. Even how quick I would have liked a little bit more of drawn out with Brock, but hey, if this is how it's gonna go, this is how it's gonna go. I was like, I think I was pretty much spot on a lot of my picks because I was like, I knew Rhea was going to beat Jade, which was actually a fun bout. I was like, Liv, I was like, as well as Stephanie, because I said both of those titles, they're going to have to reboot them. I was like, you basically, and you put them on, as we seen on Raw tonight, where you seen Liv sort of to say bye bye to Rhea or whatever, how they're still like, that history there. But two of the top women, you put them on them, and you get to reboot everybody else. Um, I said Penta or Javon. That's how it should have gone. I was like Penta. I said that I was like that way you sort of have like a veteran guy. That way when Javon wins, I was like or whatever. It sort of plays into like the uphill this. Even though I think a ladder match, if you going to do it, at least it would have made sense. It wasn't like a one-on-one bout. He could have won it that way. Trick, I said it was going to happen that way. I thought Carmelo might come in the way to make it a more of a Sammy Trick thing. We'll see how everything goes on SmackDown. Um, I thought Randy should have just won, even though I was like even though some of the stuff I'm just like he could just do this because he's Randy Orton. While Cody's always been a badass baby face, Randy Orton doesn't have. I like this sort of makes him a lot more of a heel, but I'm like, it's Randy Orton. He can do this type of stuff and just be a tweener. It really doesn't matter in any of these cases. I was like, Becky Lynch, AJ Lee. I just thought they might give it to AJ Lee just because of that WrestleMania, but I did pick Becky. And seeing how things go, I wouldn't be shocked if AJ Lee and CM Punk just sort of both take time off together. They both don't have the title. They both just take a break together. I was like, what? I was like, Jacob Fatu, we all knew that was going to happen. I was like, the Usos and whatnot. I told you ISO Speed was going to turn good. And Punk and Reigns, I just felt like, as you've seen, after I was like with the Raw for Mania, that hey, there's a lot more to build up with Roman than there is with CM Punk. Punk, like I said, he probably just going to take some time off tonight. I was like, let's just go right into the Raw after Mania. Well, I got one more thing about wrestling. I was like, I'll get to it. Is that there's more to do with Reigns than there is with Punk, and Punk at some point we're going to get the eventual tease of Cody. I just don't know how to feel about it. And the reason I don't know how to feel about it is I was like, that has been built since at least last year for before the chamber. So that's been in the works at least that long of them doing like eye to eye. I could go after your title, but it actually started a little bit before that as well. The reason this is a little bit of like, it's because who else also got that same similar kind of tease that is going to be built upon and later for something to pay off? Randy Orton. And we sort of seen how that sort of go. Granted, the Pat McAfee thing is what threw the wrench in the whole thing, but it still is something that is like teased for too long. Hey, we're still going to want to see it, but also, is it going to be a little bit too much, you know, control? I was like copy paste with it, because I was like, but one of these two are going to have to turn heel. I was like, I use that in quotes because I was like, I don't think Cody or CM Punk will go heel. I just think they would be able to find a version of them that gets booed, if that makes any sense. Um, but that's probably down the road or whatever like that. Because I was like, Cody is probably going to have this title for a while because, like I said, I was like I said, the reason Randy should have won it. Who is really going to beat Cody? Now, the person I gave as a suggestion to possibly face Cody, I also used as a way to also face in Roman, and that was Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu came out to sort of challenge Roman, and it was a little. I was like, it was a little off. I was like, I mean, hey, Jacob brought the passion. He brought the aggression in his voice. He brought some realness to it that I was like, I appreciate it, but it also didn't. I was like, it felt odd. I was like, he was going too much. I was like, it was too baby face to what also Roman was doing. Like they just didn't seem like they matched each other's energies to basically him being like, I want the title. And I was like, maybe that's because Roman also was like, hey, I'll think about it. We'll see. Um, and I sort of feel like I was like, I don't know if they will do it, but it sort of seemed like he was sort of saying, Jacob, if you want to challenge for the title, I might let you challenge for the title. But if you don't, you park your ass with the rest of them and you follow the rest of the bloodline. I feel like that's sort of how it sounded like he wanted to say you can't beat them, join them. But I was like, I don't know. But I was like, I do like this. I do like this pick. I was like, it's sort of been something that's been waiting forever, to the point where it's like it's died out. I think they also have to try to get Jacob Fatu back on that level. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I was like, when Jacob Fatu was trying to fight Cody and Drew and get entangled in that, I was like, okay, cool. They finally got Jacob back to where he when he first came in WWE, it was like, oh man, we can't wait to see him face off against like Rose. We can't face like against Roman again. Like he was setting himself up like that. And even all the way up until like like doing like war game and all that other stuff, like I was like it was then once he sort of won the U.S. title and then the things with Solo, then that was it. Then he sort of then like I said when he came with Cody and McIntyre, then it sort of felt like something. Then it waned back off to where him and Drew just sort of just felt like it was just there. Um, so now it sort of feels like it's like okay, cool. He's being put in the top spot, but it's still. I was like, it don't still feel like it don't feel like it's there. And granted, who a lot of people who they always like to like backlash is always kind of just like ugh. I don't know what it is because you think about it. I was like, who? I was like when Damien faced Jay Uso. I was like, luckily they went overseas, and luckily Jay was like really hot, but it also didn't feel like anything. Kind of like one, you knew that Damien was going to retain. Like you're gonna at least get one, one out of him. I was like, I'm trying to figure out who. I was like, who did? I think Jay face. I was like Logan Paul or something like that, right? Yeah, I was like, out the gate, they never do anything really. It never had that oomph to it. Now, Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief, all this other stuff, he might. I was like, of course, I was like, he'll be able to hold his in. And I was like, Jacob Fatu, they just got to get him hot again. That's really what it is. They got to get him hot. They got to get him to do something where he feels hot again. Um, and look, it's look like they're gonna try to do the bloodline thing again, but I feel like they're just going to try a different version of it. I was like, you have Roman and you saying like, "Hey, I missed this. I want this back, but y'all not going to be behind me. Y'all going to be with me." So hey, they're going. What I would love for them to do is if they get Jay and Jimmy, because I was like, if they get them to do single titles instead of tag team titles or both, whatever. I just think that I'm like Jay has gone to. I was like he won the Intercontinental. He's won the main championship. So Roman got the main championship right now. We'll see how that sort of goes, but just regulating them to the tag team division. And I was like, Jimmy, go ahead and give him. Go ahead, have him get the U.S. title or something like that. There's some stuff I was like, if Trick keeps it for a while, that's something you can do with there. If Sammy and Trick is still doing stuff or whatever, like, or if Sammy gets it back, there's some cool stuff there. Um, I was like, so I was like, I would like to see if they just got like the mid card championships or whatever. That way, they're a little bit higher pecking ground than just um, the tag team titles. And then whoever, if they bring in some other people, I was like, I don't think they need any extra people or whatever. I was like, or they just sort of figure out how to do things. Also on the show, Raw for Mania, they brought out Sol Ruka, and I thought for a minute that I was like, I didn't know that she was going to have a match with Zarya on NXT. Cause I was like, is she still the North American champion or whatever? Cause if that's the case, then I was like, oh, okay, cool. They got to get the championship off of her, I guess. And you wouldn't want to do this. But I thought, especially because not a little bit before this, they showed Paige with the Bellas. And I think it would have been some crazy symmetry if they would have had Sol Ruka come out, beat Liv for her championship after they showed Paige, who did the same thing to AJ Lee all them years ago. And Sol Ruka, boom. I was like, boom, you just have her on the map. She's already been on the main stage a couple times already to where people know her enough or whatever. that hey, she's already got enough people that is like, yeah, we already want to see her do cool stuff. She had a good showing in the Rumble. She lived with one of the people at the very end that she I was like was fighting against. So I don't see why not. I did not like how Ruka came out with to live, but I also feel like so Ruka was sort of just like oh like live, you're this, you're that. Like I won, like like you're so like basically like hyping her up and saying like how much you're so cool and all this other stuff. And it did feel like as So Ruka was doing this, that I was like I don't know if she was doing it too fast or whatever, or she was like there's a little bit like how people got a little like nerves in a system. Cause Liv had, I was like, cause you could tell like they would almost talk to each other, and then like she just like Liv just took over in a way that kind of was like hey like we got to speed this up. I'm gonna go ahead and get you there, cause it's like saving her a little bit or whatever. But anyway, I was like they had Zarya basically create distractions. So Ruka did put on a really good show once again, but I would have loved that they would have just made her win the championship. Then back here comes out. And to be honest, outside like Roman doing something new and different with Jacob and going to be with Jacob Fatu, they really don't do what they used to with WrestleMania, where it's like it will be the end. Like, yeah, sure, a couple things will go into Backlash, but this it seems like they're really just about to hit repeat again on like nearly all of the stuff. Because I'm like, Bakir comes out, confronts Liv. And yes, Bakir was going to this wasn't going to go away, but it is. I'm just like, are we going to get this immediately? Like it is going kind of like like, or is this going to be something that just happens for a good period of time until they're ready to give it to Bakir after they done built up what they dropped with her. You know, Speaking of something else that I'm like, okay, I guess we're going to have to continue this is the Finn Balor Judgment Day thing, which I was like, I sort of get. Look, I was like, Priest kept on fighting Judgment Day for a while. Rhea kept fighting Judgment Day for a while. Edge sort of, but so it's like I do understand it, but I just also am just like I was like going to WrestleMania, Finn Balor doing the Demon. So when I was like I seen the Demon, I was like like years ago. I thought the concept was cool. I was like the paint was cool, different color, entrance was cool, or whatever. I think a lot of that stuff is cool. I think where it gets corny in a way that's like ugh, and I don't like to say corny a lot, but like in a way where I'm just like I don't dig this is where he is doing the theatrics of like towards the camera where it's like har rar like I'm like oh that's a little too goofy like I just want I used to just be like serious or whatever or just like walking with just like a stare on your face of just like yo I'm gonna screw this dude up or whatever like about like all that extra stuff I was like whatever too much of me. He could keep the flare. I mean, like a little like gas little joints or whatever. Those look cool. The stripping, the little ribbons on his hair, those tip pins to me. But either way, it's not for me. But him fighting JD and they gave that pretty much the final match on Raw. I was like, I don't. This is not it. This wasn't it. I was like the Raw Mania was good. Not great, not anything crazy. I was like, I'll say it because I already know that people are going to probably say Javon Evans shouldn't have lost to Ethan Page or whatever. Yes, they saved a little bit of face by having Rusev get involved or whatever. Man, Penta coming to make the save and whatnot. But to me, I think it's fine just because I was like Javon Evans. Yes, I was like he's been on the main roster for a couple months but him and Ethan Page are still sort of the same. Like Ethan Page and him just came from the same place. So I think that one's fine because I think that's even. It's not like he lost his like Tozawa or Otis or something like that. You couldn't have Ethan Page really lose to anybody either. Outside, like, I mean, yes, if he faced those two, he could beat those two. But I was like, I think you sort of want to put him in a like good spot. I was like, the crowd gave him a bit of shit, like cheers. You know what I mean? Like the acknowledgement of like, oh, you on main roster now, hey, like that type of cheers. But I think this was a fun match because it give him somebody very quickly that he's wrestled and he has some stuff with. That it's like, all right, cool, you come in here. It doesn't really hurt Javon Evans. Javon Evans is too new. Like, yes, you can't have him beat Oba and you can't have him beat Trick. Those, I was like, that's different. To me, Javon is like, yeah, I was like, cause I was like, his aura isn't the same as them two. He also isn't like the same type of powerhouse as them two or whatever. So that's why it works a lot better. Um, Also, Oba came out, and that was pretty much it. That was it. It was like, okay, cool. I mean, I guess you don't need to do anything after you beat Brock and put him in retirement. Um, the Paul Heyman thing with the Brock, I felt a little bit. I was like, that just seemed like a little extra for just no reason or whatever. They didn't even let Logan Paul say his most like ironic type of thing of being like streamers and part timers when that's how he started out. But Braun Breaker is back. I was like, cool. I was like, we're gonna get him and Seth. So that's cool to see what that like. I was like, I think that will once that get back going. I was like, that'll feel like a thing again. Gunther and LA Knight. Maybe they're gonna have a match at Backlash or something like that to face like for a number one contendership or something like that. I think that to be honest, they're probably going to go. See, I don't know how that works because I think LA Knight is probably be somewhere in Roman's next feud just because someone that people is like they like versus Roman. You can play back to the couple times that LA Knight had against Roman. You can make that into something of like, yo, this is gonna be the time. But he can also lose to Roman. And everybody could be like, oh, well, it's Roman. LA Knight not gonna win against Roman versus CM Punk, where everybody be like, okay, he can kind of beat CM Punk, right? Right? Which I feel like they should have did, except for the problem is that Roman, it was a heel, can get cheer. I was like, can lose the cheering battles to LA Knight just because he's going to also get his own cheer. CM Punk, LA Knight, that might get drowned by LA Knight. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. But for the most part, Raw after Mania, I was like, we had the Kabuki Warriors versus Io and Rhea. We'll see how that match eventually if Io and Asuka do something. But Rhea's going off to SmackDown, so Io's by herself now. Yeah, Raw after Mania was. You know what? I might just downgrade it. Like it was okay. It was cool. Like nothing really happened. Nothing too spectacular. I was like, so Rook, I guess, is on Raw now, which is probably, I guess that's probably where she probably should be. I was like, it's not like they're doing anything with the mid card titles worth a damn or nothing. She probably needs to be on. I was like, probably need to be on SmackDown to be honest, just because I'm like, outside of Last Legend, I was like Julia. The young people on there isn't really anything, and I was like, but they also haven't really. No, she gonna fight Becky Lynch. Never mind. She gonna fight Becky Lynch. She gonna be in that space. Never mind. I already see how this is gonna go. They're probably just gonna put her there. Anyway, yeah, no, I was like Rival Mania, cool. That's pretty much how it goes. We'll see how everything matches up with everybody. SmackDown will give us a little bit more. But anyway, let me know what y'all think. Till then, I'm out.